Hey, what's good everybody, and welcome back to the channel. And today we are here in NBA 2K21. Gonna do something a little different, man. Another experiment for you guys. Gonna be doing a career sim for one and only Obi Toppin, straight out of the University of Dayton, my hometown actually. See how he fares in the NBA, how his NBA career pans out. But before we do that, since NBA 2K is a little wonky right now with the COVID pandemic going on right now, we are going to go ahead and jump into the draft lottery first to see who, what the final, picks are going to look like, and then go to the draft to see where Obi is drafted, and then do the rest of the career sim from there. But all that being said though, if you do enjoy the content here on this channel, do me a favor, please smash that like button, as well as hit subscribe if you have to be new, and enjoy other content that's on my channel as well. With that being said, let's go ahead, sim through the draft lottery, see what the final order is going to look like. So this is what the NBA draft lottery is looking like, and this is what the sim came down to, simming up to this through this season, because the rookies actually aren't in the game yet. The Pistons did get the #1 overall pick, and the New York Knicks were so close. They got the second pick. Portland Trailblazers is number 3, with the Pacers and Wizards bringing out the top 5. So now we got this draft order. Let's go to the NBA draft and see where Obi Toppin is going. NBA draft and see who the Detroit Pistons end up rocking with. And it's LaMelo Ball actually signing with the Detroit Pistons, first overall pick. Well deserved. We'll see if it works out for him though, because he played in Australia actually. I don't know why it says UCLA. The guy who made these custom draft classes kind of whack, but it is what it is. As Danny Avdija from Israel goes to the Knicks. That is the most Knicks pick I have ever seen. That is crazy. But Danny Avdija is going to be the second overall pick. Okay, so let's see what Portland goes with. And Portland's going to go with James Wiseman, who for some reason is listed as a power forward, but he honestly should be a center. I'll probably change that when we get into the rookie seasons, as it looks like it'll be a potential replacement for Carmelo Anthony, they say. But James Wiseman should be a really good player for those guys. A nice rim runner for Damian Lillard. The Pistons are going to go with Anthony Edwards from Georgia, shooting guard. Going to play for the Pistons. Might play alongside of like Victor Oladipo, Malcolm Brogdon, really improved that backcourt. At least provide some good depth for them. As the Wizards are on the clock, they get Aaron Naismith from Vanderbilt. I've honestly never heard of this guy before, so I'm going to skim through that. Charlotte is at number 6 though. Let's see what they get. And it's Devin Vassell. So Obi Toppin still on the board. I thought he would be drafted by now, but that simply has not been the case just yet. Let's see what the Atlanta Hawks do. Do they get Obi Toppin? So let's see what the Hawks go with. And it's a center. I'm not going to even try to pronounce that name, but he's going to get drafted as well over Obi Toppin. You would think with a great regular season from Dayton that would have done something, but apparently that is not the case, so Obi Toppin falls further. Let's see what the Heat do. Heat go with some point guard from France. I can't believe it. Obi's still on the board. OKC in the middle of their rebuild now in this sim, and they go with a different power forward. Jalen Smith gets drafted. I can't believe it. He continues to slide. Minnesota, please make the right. No! A guy from Dayton as well, but it's not Obi. So that is crazy. Obi is still falling. RJ Hampton gets drafted by the Boston Celtics. So with the last pick in the lottery, it actually belongs to the Suns. They go with Cole Anthony from North Carolina. I'm actually surprised he fell as well. But shoot, maybe my Cavs can go get him. We'll have to wait and see. Let's see what the Chicago Bulls end up doing. They pick up Tyrese Maxey. So it goes to the Cavs. Cleveland's now on the clock. And they go with Nico Mannion Oh my goodness, Obi is like we're halfway through the first round. He still hasn't been selected yet. Alright, so we're in the top 20 now. Dallas is on the clock. Obi's still on the board, so I'm wondering if he's even in this draft class. And sure enough, there's Obi right there, 18 years old. I'm surprised he's falling as far as he is. He's a consensus top 10 guy. But yet, here we are. He still hasn't been drafted yet. And the thing is, maybe I missed it or something. But no, that hasn't been the case. Obi Toppin is still on the board right now. So whoever gets this guy is going to be really lucky. And there it is. We finally see Obi get drafted by the Brooklyn Nets of all teams with the 25th overall pick. He's going to go play for them. Wow, I can't believe he fell as far as he did, but we're going to see how he does in the NBA now. I believe that, he actually fell, as far as he did. There's the obvious guys, LaMelo Ball, James Wiseman, Anthony Edwards that are 80 plus. Actually this guy is rated pretty high as well. But like Obi Toppin is just scrolling down, really solid player and at a really young age too. So I can't believe he fell as far as he did. So gonna go ahead and see how he stacks on the Nets roster to begin the season and see how he does in his rookie season. So despite being drafted so late in the first round, Obi is actually set up in a pretty good situation. From a playing time standpoint, he's only sitting behind this guy who's a former second round pick, 76 overall dude, but that's Obi's overall too, so he can potentially step in there and get into the starting lineup almost right away. And not to mention, he's playing with a darn good team. He's got superstars like Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Chris LeVert and Jared Allen are also looking pretty darn good too. DeAndre Jordan going to be coming from the bench as well. So this is a really good team that could definitely do some damage for sure. We'll see what happens when we get to the end of his rookie year. So we just made it through Obi Toppin's rookie season. So let's go ahead and check out how we did. But before we get into it, let's check out these awards. We got Luka Doncic with the MVP. LaMelo Ball, the first overall pick, does win Rookie of the Year. Lonzo Ball, his older brother, wins the Sixth Man of the Year and went to the Thunder, which is really surprising. Giannis wins Defensive Player of the Year and joins the Lakers. I know this is going to really trigger some Bucks fans for sure. Then Kevin Porter Jr. does get Most Improved Player as well. Finally, Coach of the Year belongs to Brad Stevens. So not surprisingly, Obi Toppin is not on the first team, or the second team, or even the third team. He also didn't make the first team all defensive, nor did the second team. But on the first team all rookie, also didn't make that. And look who's on the second team. Obi Toppin makes second team all rookie as a 25th overall pick and had a half decent season actually. About 10 points, 5 rebounds, close to 2 assists per game. He really struggles shooting the ball, but less than 40% from the field, 23% from 3. Decent free throw percentage, but man, definitely has some work to do for sure with his offensive game. What his team did? The team actually did pretty darn good. They got the second seed in the Eastern Conference. They played, well, there were 6 games behind Brooklyn, but they got the 2 seed. Cavs actually surprised got the 3 seed. So we'll see if they can make a run for the Eastern Conference Finals or maybe even go to the NBA Finals for a championship. So his first series, they have the Toronto Raptors. And it looks like Obi Toppin will be in the starting lineup alongside Kevin Durant, Chris LeVert, and Kyrie Irving. With Jared Allen, actually DeAndre Jordan's going to get the start. Meanwhile, the Toronto Raptors play a Kawhi Leonard team that decided to never leave in this simulation. Kyle Lowry is also with the squad though. Pascal Siakam is on another level. Surprised they only finished as a 7th seed, so they might give us a challenge. So it actually was a pretty difficult challenge for us to take on. We win Game 7. Let's see how we did in that Game 7. It goes down to where the Brooklyn Nets almost blew a huge 4th quarter lead. But Obi Toppin was okay in this one. 12 points, 8 rebounds, 1 assist, only 1 turnover, and shot the ball pretty decently. Getting used to NBA basketball and a good time to do so, as they'll move on to the second round. Now here, they'll take on the Orlando Magic in the second round of these playoffs, and Obi Toppin is starting to take it to another level. Only shooting, same field goal percentage basically, but better from three, and having more points per game and more rebounds as well, really taking his game up to another level. Now, the Orlando Magic are going to be an interesting matchup as they actually do play against Aaron Gordon. That's going to be his main matchup. He's a pretty athletic dude, so we'll see how he does in the second round and see if they can go to the conference finals. So the Brooklyn Nets actually do a much better job against the Orlando Magic, closing that game out in 5 games. In the game-clinching series, Obi also with another decent game, once again 11 points and 4 rebounds, but he also had 4 turnovers. But it is what it is, was still able to help his team win, and it was actually a 4th quarter comeback. It was the Magic that blew a 4th quarter lead. You hate to see that to end the season. So now we're in the conference finals, taking on the Boston Celtics. They got Kemba Walker, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum at the 4th position, which is really surprising. This could be the end for us, as this is a really good basketball team right here. RJ Hampton's also coming from the bench, which is a thing as well. So we'll see how we do against the Boston Celtics. We'll see if they can go to the NBA Finals. So we did win the first 2 games, but we didn't. We'd close out the next 4. The next 4 did go to Boston, as Jason Tatum goes off for 47. Meanwhile, in the game-clinching game, Obi Toppin was pretty flat. Only 4 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Was pretty involved defensively though, 4 steals and 3 blocks, but only 1 for 11 from the field. Definitely a really brutal time, as that would have at least helped extend this series, as that is how this rookie season is going to end. A trip to the conference finals, but losing in 6 games. At least take a look at who won the NBA Finals, and the Boston Celtics actually won it. So at least Solomon said Obi Toppin lost to a team that did eventually win the championship at the end of the day. Jason Tatum was also the finals MVP as well. I forgot to show that, but I'll try to show that in future seasons for Obi Toppin's career. Alright, man, so we are here. Right before his 2nd season. This is only his age 19 year. And, he really did a good job of improving his defense as well as his shot. So he's going to have a better shot to work with. And then, just an all-around better IQ. Up to a 79 overall, which will be good for the starting power forward position. So you love to see that. So let's see how he does in his 2nd season. So we made it through the 2nd regular season. This is how the awards shook out. Luka Doncic won the MVP this time around, and he had a great season, nearly averaging a triple-double. Evan Mobley was Rookie of the Year with the Milwaukee Bucks. He was 17 points and 10 rebounds. 6th Man of the Year went to Cade Cunningham, a young player, probably either 1st or 2nd year guy, 16 points a game from the bench. Defensive of the Year went to Giannis, who did go to the Lakers, which doesn't settle very well with me. Most Improved Player goes to RJ Hampton of the Boston Celtics. And then Coach of the Year goes to JB Bickerstaff. Now looking around just to see if Obi Toppin made any noise, and I'm looking through the awards, and I don't see Obi Toppin's name everywhere, so I'll have to see how his regular season went. So it looks like for Obi, it went a little bit better, but his shooting is still really rough. Still shooting under 40%, under 25% from 3. His stealing and block numbers are a little bit better, but really not much of improvement through his first couple of seasons, so far in this career sim. The good news is, though, is that the Brooklyn Nets did make the playoffs as a 6th seed. Let's see how far they can make it this time around. Alright, so it looks like the Brooklyn Nets were actually eliminated in 6 games. And it did come down to the 4th quarter as well, just seeing what Obi Toppin did. 4 for 9, 1 for 3, still really struggling to find his way, although he played a little bit better in the playoffs than he did in the regular season. But hopefully he can continue to develop, since, 11 points per game, expect a little bit more from someone who just a few years ago was considered one of the best players at the collegiate level when he was playing at the University of Dayton. In grace. Now, one saving grace for these guys is that the Atlanta Hawks actually almost made it as the NBA champions, but the Golden State Warriors won it this time around. Stephen Curry, at 35 years old, did win Finals MVP. even though he's starting to get on the downswing just a little bit, still has what it takes to win an NBA championship. But you know, the Hawks were right there. They had a 3-0 lead actually, and then blew it, losing the next 4 games. A monumental, you know, choking job, if I say so myself. But their Solace and Elise Obi Toppin squad lost to the Eastern Conference champions. Now, during the offseason, there was one rule change that actually was approved by the NBA, the draft lottery. It's going back to the system that was used in 2018, where the worst team will now have a 25% chance of receiving the first overall pick. Another notable thing in the offseason is that since Obi Toppin was on a rookie contract, his 2-year deal was starting to come up, his 2-year team option came, and Obi Toppin is going to have the Nets pick up that. So at least for the next 2 seasons, Obi Toppin will remain on the squad. So sadly, Obi Toppin actually doesn't improve at all in overall. He remains at a 79. However, shooting does go up slightly, so now he's a half decent shooter with C-3 and a C+ mid-range. Rebounding did also slightly improve as well. With that being said, let's see how Obi Toppin does in his 3rd season in the NBA. So we made it through the 3rd regular season, and once again, Luka Doncic is MVP. Meanwhile, Rookie of the Year put up some pretty good numbers too. A guy named Chet Holmgren went 20-11 in his rookie year, shooting 53% from the field as well. You love to see it. 6th Man of the Year goes to Jalen Green of the Utah Jazz, shooting nearly 20 points per game from the bench. Then Anthony Davis wins Defensive Player of the Year, ironically playing for the Clippers in this simulation. NBA 2K just gets wilder every year. Meanwhile, the Most Improved Player goes to Sam Williamson. Then Brad Stevens wins Coach of the Year as well. Check out the Eastern Conference standings, and for the very first time in this career simulation, the Brooklyn Nets actually don't make the playoffs. Matter of fact, they finished 27-55. Obi Toppin still remains on the squad, and you know, despite that, it looks like he's not really going anywhere. You know, still shooting 10 points per game, has a career high in rebounds, but again, just having a hard time shooting from the field, just having a hard time getting used to NBA defenses. So we also do find out that the NBA Finals MVP goes to Jason Tatum, shoot 37 points per game on 56% shooting, 53% from deep. Dude is definitely balling out in his young career. Although the Phoenix Suns actually made it to the NBA Finals, however, it was the Boston Celtics that end up sweeping these guys at the end of the day. But despite the young player's lack of progression, only setting at 10 to 11 points per game early on in his career, Obi Toppin is going to be picked up once again for his team option. So at least for now, he will remain a Brooklyn Net. But it looks like in the player progression, Obi Toppin does improve a little bit, up to an 80 overall now. However, his physical traits go down a little bit, and I kind of wonder what was happening, so I dove deeper to his stats. Looks like for the first time, you know, he actually missed some NBA games. Only his first time, actually missed 21 games last season, so we'll have to check out and see what's going on there and see if it will continue to be a problem for him. Right, so we made it through year number 4, and we have a new MVP on our hands. Jason Tatum actually does win the MVP, with shooting 31 points per game. Monty Batestone does win Rookie of the Year, playing for the Houston Rockets, 20-6. Karl Anthony Towns is a 6th Man of the Year, 23-8 from the bench. That is insane. Giannis is a Defensive Player of the Year once again. John Trey Porter of the Orlando Magic wins Most Improved Player, and then Monte Williams wins Coach of the Year. So once again, just looking through the teams, it looks like Obi Toppin actually does not make it once again. We'll have to check out his numbers forward to see if there's any major improvement. Find themselves outside of the playoff picture again, however much improved at 39 and 43. Obi Toppin becomes a 81 overall and starting to turn a corner, shooting almost 12 points per game, 7 rebounds. Turnovers are down too, and his shooting is starting to improve. It's really starting to turn a corner as he's getting ready to go into his contract year himself. So the Charlotte Hornets actually win the NBA championship thanks to BJ Boston, a young player on this team. Looks like he might be in his 1st or 2nd season. Finals MVP for only 21 years old, so good for him. Doing it off of, once again, sweeping the Suns. Now that we're here in the offseason, let's check out some of the league meetings that have occurred. NBA players are now eligible for the NBA draft once they reach 18 years old. As that'll be really interesting to see how the draft classes turned out, because from here on out, we are going to be using randomly generated draft classes from NBA 2K, since we're more than 4 to 5 years out from, these players actually making it to the NBA. Things get a little wonky if we use custom draft classes. So with his first contract running out, Obi Toppin is eligible to be a free agent. The Brooklyn Nets, however, are going to offer him a one-year deal for $9 million thanks to the qualifying offer. We'll have to wait and see what kind of other offers he receives in free agency. Are here in free agency, and it looks like he's going to be one of the better power forwards in this free agency class. James Wiseman and Jaren Jackson Jr. are both ahead of him, but Jaden McDaniels and Obi Toppin, other power forwards are also up in here, and at 81 overall, I'm sure he'll definitely get some free agency offers. Sim a few years in free agency, and it looks like we get our first serious offer. The Chicago Bulls are going to try to get him for 3 years, $63 million. The Rockets also sent him a deal. Rockets also sent him a contract offer, but it's only for 1 year, $6 million. Doubt he'll sign there, so he'll either be a Chicago Bull, or if the Brooklyn Nets choose a match, he'll return there with that kind of contract. Despite that contract offer that the Chicago Bulls did come with, Obi Toppin will be remaining on the Nets thanks to the Brooklyn Nets matching that contract offer. But it's a nice deal for the man. He's going to be making close to at least $20 million over the next 3 seasons. Not a bad payday for, somebody that was drafted late in the first round. Thanks to player progression, Obi Toppin does get up to an 81 and has a good mid-range jumper now. His rebounding and physicality has also increased as well, so you love to see that. Let's see how he does in his 5th year in the NBA. So here we are at the end of regular season number 5, and here are the awards this time around. Jason Tatum has the MVP award once again. DJ Wagner, who's a complete random, averaging 21, 5, and 6 a game, wins Rookie of the Year for the Orlando Magic. Cat once again wins 6th Man of the Year for the 2nd time in a row. Giannis wins Defensive Player of the Year for what seems like the 5th straight time. I'm surprised he's down to running for MVP, because look at those numbers. Will Green wins Most Improved Player, but those numbers are meh. And then Brad Stevens does win Coach of the Year at a 66-16 record. Actually do make it back into the playoffs as an 8th seed this time around, going up against the Boston Celtics, who did eliminate them from the playoffs back in the first season of Obi Toppin's career. As I'm looking towards the bench, it looks like Obi Toppin did actually get injured, but before that he was having a much better season, a career year per se, showing some improvement continuously, 12.5, 6.5 boards, and shooting a much better field goal percentage and a respectable 30% from the field. However, it looks like he did break his right ankle and will be out for the playoffs. All of that, the Brooklyn Nets are eliminated from the first round, and it wasn't even close. You saw it on the bottom part of the screen. They lost by 30 plus points. That's a tough way to go out in a game 7, but if Obi Toppin was playing in the series, they probably would have won. Let's see how the rest of the NBA playoffs play out. Bulls were the team that did win the NBA championship, and that was where Obi almost went to if it wasn't for that restricted free agency status. Zach LaVine at 31 years old did win Finals MVP, averaging 27 points per game off of 58% shooting, and it was in a 7-game series, and Zach LaVine was terrific. 31 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal to close out game 7. Do have a different possession arrow rule this season. It's going to be used in place of the jump ball after opening tip. So going back to some college rules that the NBA is going to rock with starting the upcoming season number 6 for Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin actually fell down to an 80 overall. Took some hits in his inside game, playmaking, and his physicality thanks to that broken injury. We'll see how it shows with his NBA stats going into season number 6 in the NBA. So here we are at the awards once again, and look at these insane stats from a new MVP. Jonathan Kuminga wins his first NBA MVP award, shooting nearly 65% from the field, averaging 29 points and almost 19 rebounds. Sheldon Holloway also wins Rookie of the Year for the 76ers. Greg Brown, Sixth Man of the Year for these guys. Anthony Davis is Defensive Player of the Year, playing for the Raptors of all teams. Zion Cruz wins Most Improved and is shooting 22 points per game, and rightfully deserved. And then we got this coach who is the Coach of the Year. So check out the NBA standings, and it looks like the Brooklyn Nets once again missed the playoffs. And what's sad is that I don't even see Obi Toppin in the starting lineup for these guys anymore. Wonder if he actually got hurt again, and it looks like he's not even listed on the squad, so we'll have to see where he got traded to. Middle of the season, Obi Toppin got traded for Julius Randle and David Johnson. Obi Toppin will also be accompanied with a first-round pick, which that probably could hurt, so he's going to the New York Knicks now. So Obi did take a little bit of a step back, but he's also getting used to a new environment. He is shooting 45% from the field roughly, with 31% from 3, so he is becoming more efficient even though he's playing with, less minutes. And on top of that, he did play 83 games, ironically enough. The most games that he has ever played in his career, and we haven't even gotten to the playoffs yet. This is what their starting lineup is going to be looking like. We got Zion, Harmon, Luka Doncic as the wings, and then looks like Obi Toppin will be coming from the bench. Not even the first person off the bench, he's the second person off the bench. So we'll also have to see how that works out for him. New York Knicks do sweep the Miami Heat. And coming from the bench, he's actually readjusting to his role pretty darn well, actually. With only 20 minutes he played, he had 13 points, 3 boards, 2 assists. Did a little bit of everything and doing a really good job as a role player for Luka Doncic. Now in the second round, they do play against the Orlando Magic, and they got some guys on that squad, but like a lot of good players, but none of them really sticking out necessarily, no superstars on the team, so we should be able to win the series. So we do win. Well, we actually lost our first couple of games in this series, but then we do end up winning the next 4. In Game 7, Obi Toppin was the third leading scorer, doing once again a really good job as a role player. 11 points and 7 rebounds in just 21 minutes of play. Doing his thing, doing his job, as Luka Doncic is the main man over here. Triple-double. And now we go to the conference finals once again, playing the Boston Celtics, who back in Obi's rookie year actually knocked him off while he was on the Brooklyn Nets. Let's see if he can get past these guys and go to his first NBA Finals. And they actually do it. They win Game 7. It didn't look good for a split second, but they're able to get the job done. Obi once again nearly a triple-double coming off the bench. He is doing a great job as a role player. Now in his first NBA Finals, they do go up against the San Antonio Spurs, and here it looks like Donovan Mitchell is here with the Spurs, and at 30 years old is the main catalyst for this basketball team. Although he's got a couple of other guys around him for sure. Mouse Dibate is a huge reason. He's looks like he'll be the main torch of the Spurs offense in the future. But let's see if we can get Obi's first NBA championship though. And no, we do not. The Spurs win in 5 games. Jaden Bradley does win Finals MVP. And in that last game, Obi did his best, and just hopefully Luka Doncic can have some more help from his guys in the future, as Obi Toppin still has time to develop, so no rush for him. Obi Toppin does fall back down to a 79 overall, and it looks like he's going to be cemented as a role player on this team, as Obi is getting used to his new first full season as a New York Knick. Let's see how he fares with that. So the first full regular season for Obi Toppin is over, and here's what happened. James Wiseman will win his first MVP with the Portland Trail Blazers. Tyson Bailey wins Rookie of the Year on the Indiana Pacers. Jalen Suggs wins 6th Man of the Year, averaging 18 points a game. Giannis again with the Defensive Player of the Year, but his stats had dripped a bit, down to only 19 and 10 a game. Jaden Hardy with the New York Knicks is the most improved player on the squad. And then Ime Udoka wins Coach of the Year. As for Obi himself, he's having his worst season since his rookie year, though he does have a new role. 10 points and only 5 rebounds a game. His shooting also gone down across the board with the exception of the free throws and only averaging 23 minutes a game. As for his play, he did play 78 games this season and started in 5, but that's the lowest number of starts that he had in a single regular season. But this team does look like it's ready to compete for a championship, so let's see if they can win it this time around, starting with the Miami Heat. It was misspoken. The New York Knicks got eliminated in 6 games. And Obi Toppin wasn't very good in that last game. Towards the bottom of the depth chart at this point in terms of points, only 6 points, 2 boards, and 1 assist in only 18 minutes a game. His NBA career might be in jeopardy at this point. But we will not have an NBA champion, or at least a repeat, as the Atlanta Hawks do win the NBA title. Ruben Russell of the Atlanta Hawks does win Finals MVP at the ripe young age of 20 years old. On top of that, the Spurs almost repeated, but they did lose Game 7. They lost by 10 points, and really it was that third quarter that really did them in, but it is what it is though. That's all they can really do about it. Well, after the season, we did simulate to the league minutes, and it looks like stats are going to be inflated now. The shot clock was decreased to 20 seconds, and that means we are going to see an increase to Obi stats in turn. So it looks like Obi Toppin is on another team once again. This time he's on the 76ers. He has a 1-year deal for $11 million, but he drops down to a 78 overall. Is towards the bottom of the roster actually. So that's really unfortunate. We'll have to see how much playing time he actually gets throughout the season on the 76ers. So we get to the end of the season though, and there's a new MVP once again. LaMelo Ball wins it this time around with 34 points and 11 assists. Almost with a perfect free throw percentage too, 98%. Meanwhile, Rookie of the Year goes to this guy who's on the Raptors. Not going to even try to pronounce his name. Harrison Ingram wins 6th Man of the Year, averaging 21 points a game. Jaren Jackson Jr. scores 29 as Defensive Player of the Year. Ruben Russell does win a Most Improved Player, only in his 2nd season too. He won Rookie of the Year last season if I wasn't mistaken. And JB Bickerstaff wins Coach of the Year. They barely missed the playoffs, and on top of that, Obi just falls further down the depth chart. Despite this though, he did average 11 points per game, a little bit better than his time in New York City. However, his efficiency is down. And on top of that, it looks like he only played 67 games. So looks like, he's a little bit on the downtrend. Let's see if he can have a renaissance, next season. Oh, but Miami Heat did win the NBA championship, and LaMelo Ball did win the Finals MVP. 38 points and 13 assists. Did it beating the San Antonio Spurs once again. Their 3rd consecutive Finals appearance, but only 1 and 2 to show for it as a team. For the 2nd time in his career, Obi Toppin does hit free agency, though he's only at 78 overall and now 26. Not even that far up, but I'm sure he'll find a home with an NBA team. We'll see what happens. So guys, I kid you not, we are here in the final day of free agency, and Obi still doesn't have a contract offer. So we'll see what happens, but it looks like he's going to start the season as a free agent. So apparently I have misspoken, because I'm looking at it right now and Obi actually does get on the Knicks roster at the very last second. A 78 overall guy at 27 years old. Trying to see what kind of contract he did sign for, and it looks like it's a 2-year deal. So at least for now, it seems like his NBA dream will stay alive. So we reach the start of a brand new decade, but the end of another regular season. This is what happened around the league. James Wiseman put up some insane stats in the first year with the 20-second shot clock. He went 41 and 12 on the way to a great MVP season. Meanwhile, Rookie of the Year, Karen Bowen, averaged almost 24 points a game, playing with the Milwaukee Bucks. Killian Hayes won Sixth Man of the Year from the Miami Heat, averaging 27 points a game and 6 assists as well. Giannis Antetokounmpo averaged 20 and 13 on the way to a Defensive Player of the Year despite not that great defensive player numbers. Boomer Stokes averaged 16.5 points a game and was the most improved player playing for the OKC Thunder. And, he actually did step up quite a bit. His stats improved some. Not sure if it's most improved worthy. And Monty Williams was Coach of the Year. Checking out the standings out in the Eastern Conference, and the New York Knicks actually almost made it, tying the Chicago Bulls for the final playoff spot, but that tiebreaker does go ahead and go to the Chicago Bulls, as Obi Toppin actually does crack the starting lineup late in the season. And he did see an improvement in his stats, 12.5 points a game, 7 rebounds, which is a career high. The assists were down, and so was the steals and blocks, but shows that he can still kind of stick around. However, that shooting was atrocious, 36% shooting with 27% from the 3-point line. But the NBA champion was not from the Portland Trail Blazers. Instead, it was the Miami Heat, and they were led none other by LaMelo Ball, who was in the same draft class as Obi Toppin. He averaged 30 points a game and nearly had a double-double in the process too, finishing off the Portland Trail Blazers in 6 games. So nothing notable to point out in the league meeting, so we're just going to go ahead and go to progression to see what happens to our boy Obi Toppin. So it does look like Obi Toppin might potentially be on the decline. He falls down to a 77 overall actually. He takes a hit to his rebounding and IQ as well, which is not a good sign if you want to stay in the league longer, losing some IQ points. But, we'll see what happens in this second season back with the New York Knicks. It's a contract year for him. So the age 28 season for Obi Toppin is over, and this is what happened in the awards. James Wiseman, for what seems like the third time in a row, wins his MVP and puts up even better numbers if that was even possible. Ended up having 45 points and 15 rebounds a game. Although not to be, actually that's actually pretty surprising. Rookie of the Year went to somebody that had under 10 points per game, but did have double-digit assists, so he definitely has some passing abilities. Sixth Man of the Year though went to Evan Mobley, who averaged 18 and 11, is a 2022 draft pick at the age of 27. Giannis Antetokounmpo once again with the Defensive Player of the Year. Sound like a broken record at this point. Jason Carney had the most improved player on the Sacramento Kings, averaging 22 points a game. Then Brett Brown won Coach of the Year, taking his team to 66 wins. So the New York Knicks actually finished even lower in the conference this time around, only 38 for 44, which is a respectable record, but is the third worst in the entire Eastern Conference. So he did, it actually went backwards once again. He had 11 points, but 7 rebounds still. But the shooting is really bad, so I'm really curious to see how that plays out for him. During the course of free agency, we'll have to wait and see how the market views Obi Toppin from the University of Dayton. We see a new face to the NBA championship line as the Philadelphia 76ers, for the first time in this episode, does win the NBA Finals, and it was thanks to Jalen Green, who averaged nearly 40 points per game, 8 rebounds, and nearly 6 assists. He got the job done, and he did it against the OKC Thunder, but they were knocked out in 5 games. So since this is Obi Toppin's contract year, we're going to go ahead and go straight to the free agency period just to see where he ends up going if he signs with a basketball team. May or may not get signed. He is towards the upper end of the power forward class, but he's 28 years old, coming off a not so great shooting season in his prime, so to speak. So it'll be interesting to see how the market goes for Obi. Alright guys, so we get to the final day of free agency, and somebody does gives Obi Toppin a contract offer. It's with the Milwaukee Bucks. 2 seasons, $15.6 million. I'm pretty sure he is going to accept this. Let's see if he actually does. Well, sure enough, Obi Toppin does, sign with the Milwaukee Bucks, but it looks like it's just going to be depth. He's at the very bottom of the roster, 28 years old. You know, his 3-point shots going down, perimeter defense, physicality is going down as well. You hate to see all those things happening, so let's see if he actually makes it through this contract with the Milwaukee Bucks. Let's find out. Alright guys, so we do get to the trade deadline, and we do find out that Obi Toppin was traded. He was traded for a small forward from the Sacramento Kings, and he was accompanied by a 2nd round pick in 2034. So let's go ahead and check his stats real quick. So this is the roster that he is working with, and it's not a very good basketball team, so definitely in a rebuild state. Coming in, he's having his worst season ever, career lows and just about everything. Even the field goal percentage is not looking too good whatsoever, and even looking at his recent games, what seems like he wasn't really playing necessarily until he got to Sacramento and starting to get some minutes a game. Did have a 20-point game there, but he's on a rebuilding team, and that's definitely going to be tough for sure. Alright man, so we get to the end of the regular season though, and Jonathan Kuminga does win his he does win an MVP award. Not sure if that is his first or not, just kind of looking around and seeing where the heck his awards are, and is actually his 2nd MVP, so good for Jonathan Kuminga. Rookie of the Year though goes to Jeffrey Gilbert of the Memphis Grizzlies, averaging almost a double-double, 16 and 10. Keemian Hayes does average 24 points a game as a 6th man for the Miami Heat. Kuminga also wins the Defensive Player of the Year award, and look at those rebounds. 21 rebounds is absolutely insane. Most Improved goes to Isaac Phillips, and Paul George actually becomes a coach and subsequently is a Coach of the Year. It was, they didn't make the playoffs, but they actually played better than I expected. They finished 38 and 44 and just narrowly missed the playoffs. As we're looking around, we see Obi Toppin. He's all the way down to a 71 overall, and he's having, he has only 8.2 points per game, 4 rebounds. As we're looking around too, just taking a hit across the board. I wonder if he got hurt, and sure enough, he did. He broke his right ankle again. So his season is over. Not just because they didn't make the playoffs or anything like that, but also his career could be in jeopardy too, depending on what the Sacramento Kings decide to do. Before we get into the nitty and gritty though, the Golden State Warriors did win the NBA Finals, and a young player by the name of Thomas Jameson wins the NBA Finals MVP, 22 and 10, getting that double-double and shooting 50% from the field during the NBA Finals. So as I fear, that broken ankle injury did a number to him. He's falling down to a number 2 overall, down to 74, one of the worst on the Sacramento Kings, and he's just, taking a dive across the board. This could be his last season, so we're just going to go ahead and skip to the end and see what his season stats are. It could be Obi's final season in the NBA. James Wiseman does win MVP once again. Mark Benjamin also wins Rookie of the Year, 13 and 13. Andre Leonard wins the 6th man from the Dallas Mavericks, doing 14s across the board. Whereas Jonathan Kuminga wins another Defensive Player of the Year, averaging more than 2 steals per game. Lamar Anderson does win Most Improved Player, and Steve Kerr does win Coach of the Year. Who continue to decline, averaging 6.5 points, 3 rebounds, only shooting 41% from. He is shooting better from the field, but it's the least amount of minutes that he's had in his entire career. Not to mention that they also missed the playoffs, so that sucks. NBA Finals, the Charlotte Hornets win it all, and it's all thanks to a 33-year-old Zion Williamson. First time that we said his name in quite a bit, actually, averaging 27 and 9, and they did beat the OKC Thunder once again, winning 4 games to 3. You can see passes, and Obi does not sign with any team, which means his career is going to be over. Let's go ahead and check out his career stats. So he did have a decent career. He played 12 years in the NBA, first years being with the Brooklyn Nets, and Honestly, this is where these 4 years right here was arguably his best years, and then after that it started to tail off. Had a little bit of a surge with the New York Knicks, and then was traded to Milwaukee, and then traded again to the Sacramento Kings. And then he started to really decline from there, and now it's to the point where no one's going to really sign him anymore. He averaged 10.5 points, 5.8 rebounds, roughly a steal, a block per game. Was never a good shooter, but provided some solid minutes. Almost had 10,000 points. He was probably a year or two away if he didn't have those injuries, but it is what it is though. Unfortunately, the only thing that Obi did during his career is that he was second team all rookie back in his rookie season. Did make an appearance to the NBA Finals, almost was an NBA champion, but that didn't quite happen when he was playing side by side with Luka Doncic. But that's going to end this video though. What do you think of how 2K21 portrayed Obi Toppin? Let me know down in the comments, as well as what other one-offs that you want me to try and do here on the channel. If you also enjoy the content here, I'd also appreciate it if you smash that like button, as well as hit subscribe if you have to be new. This is John J Gaming on the mic, hoping you guys have a wonderful day. Take care, everybody.